Hey guys, it's Adriana Deshay, and today we are going to get into the business of fashion. One of the reasons for the blog, or the vlog anyway, was to bring you into my world as a small business owner, as a designer, as a mom, and just as a woman in general. So, when I first started out, my passion for fashion started years and years and years ago. I used to sketch all the time. Growing up, I used to love dressing up and making outfits on paper. And when I, decided to go to college, I told myself there was no way I was going to make any money designing clothes. And so I decided just to put myself in school to be a doctor. So I went to school to be a doctor, and that didn't work. I ended up switching my degree to nursing, and then that didn't work, and I ended up leaving with a nonprofit degree. So that's what I left with. I wasn't able to really find a job in the nonprofit field because I didn't intern enough in school, and so I ended up getting a corporate job. Go figure. So shortly after my son was born, I decided, why not go back to what I've always wanted to do, which was modeling. Believe it or not, my modeling career began after my son. So for everybody that thinks it just can't happen, think again. And so I did model. I had a couple photo shoots, actually. It was very good. I met new people. Some of those people I'm in contact with, which is awesome. And modeling was just so hard with my son, and in the industry, when you're meeting people off Model Mayhem, people you can't trust, people have died, and so it was kind of really sketchy. So instead of I wasn't really steady with it because I worked, and I was a mom, and it didn't make any sense. So then I told myself, oh, we'll just work on being a designer. So my first sewing machine, not this one, I have a brother, which was gifted to me from a very dear friend of mine. She was actually in the delivery room when my son was born. Shout out to BB Fam. She is a vlogger, so if you want to go ahead and follow her, that's awesome. But she was in the room when my son was born. She gifted me my very first sewing machine. Kind of propels me into thinking, somebody actually believes in me. She had two, so she didn't need two, so she gave me one, and I put it to use. I got through my little fashion design course with it, and it helped me just jumpstart my career, made me realize how much I actually really do love sewing. And so why not just be a designer, right? So that's that. Now, fast forward, 4 or 5 years later, I am now trying to be that designer that I so wanted to be all those years ago. And opening the store was part of that. So SophiqueApparel.com was part of being a designer, because that was my merchandising aspect of it. So learning how to pick the trends, or fast study for the trends, to buy for the trends, to then sell the trends. That was kind of what Sophique Apparel is about. I will admit, when I first started, I was a little lost. Still am a little lost. I went off and just bought clothes, and those clothes are still here. So, and that's because when it first began, I was playing it safe. In my mind, I did not want to spend all this money on stuff that just wouldn't sell. So I played it safe, and I'm paying for it. I never originally had a business plan, because I'm like, it's a boutique. How hard is it going to be? What else do you need to know? And so I never did it. I'm being real honest when I said that I never did it. Probably was because I was lazy. So there you go. And in business, everybody knows you just can't be lazy. Womp womp. So recently, I've had a couple people interested in investing in the store, which is awesome. So if anybody knows, if somebody's willing to invest in you, that means they believe in you. So it's not just you thinking that this is just a crazy idea that you have now decided to make a thing. People believe in you. So on my journey to this business plan, I will let you know it is one of the hardest things I think I've ever done. I hate it. I enjoy it only because it teaches me so much, but I hate it. So last year when I started the business, I actually did look into making a business plan, but it seemed like so much, and I had so much going on then, it was just like this is never going to get done, and you are never going to do it unless you find somebody to do it. So I scrapped it. And so this year, with the investors, now they are calling for a business plan. I started writing the business plan probably about 2 weeks. So it's been almost 2 weeks now that I started writing it. I have learned so much in the market. It just floors me why I didn't just do this at first. So there, anyway. So what I wanted to do as part of the blog was bring you guys into that business plan. So much that you have to learn. I'm not sure how much I will cover in this video because I don't want it to be too long. And already I've taken up a bunch of time. So let's get started. All right. So the first part of a business plan is going to be your executive summary. This is actually written last. So after you've gone through and did all the business plan, you kind of then want to go in there and summarize that executive. So we're going to place that at the end of the blog series. And yes, it's going to be a vlog series. Okay. So the first part, you want to have your general company description. So in this, you're going to have the business that you're in. And then what will you do in the business? So for example, I'm in the fashion industry, right? That's the business I am in. What I will do in that fashion industry is sell women's apparel. Sell and make women's apparel. And so that's kind of what you do. And of course, you will elaborate this. It won't just be, I'm in the business of fashion, I will be making and selling clothes. That's just not it. So you want to elaborate. Obviously, put some finesse on it, right? The second part is then going to be your mission statement. The mission statement is usually 30 words or less and explains the reason for your company. So the reason why you even exist. And then your guiding principles. Not as easy as you think. I Googled several mission statements to come up with mine. And my business plan still is incomplete because I do not have this mission statement. You can also put a vision statement there. So if you want to have a mission statement and a vision statement, that's well. The vision statement just tells people where you plan to go. Right? So not where you are now, where you plan to go. Your mission statement tells your purpose. Simple as that. Then you want to put your goals and objectives. So your goals and then how are you going to get there? Right? That's the whole purpose of goals and objectives. After that, you have a business philosophy. Now, my business plan does not have a business philosophy because in the executive summary, I kind of explained my reason, my personal choice for doing it. And so I didn't feel like the business philosophy was needed. But I'll let you know if you want to do it. And that is what is important to you in business. So for me, if I were to do a business philosophy, it would just be simply the education of fashion. So if I like to educate people in the realm of fashion. So that would be important to me. Of course, you're going to elaborate, right? All right. You want to describe the industry that you're in. So, yes, I'm in fashion, but then describe that industry. So, this is where you could put maybe some facts, the growth of the industry. Women spend blah, blah, blah per year on clothes alone. And the reason why you maybe target women because they are the people that go into the stores and shop for dad and children and dogs. So that is where you want to put that. And then you want to describe your company's strengths and weaknesses. So what are you strong at? What are you not so strong at? That can go in there too. You can also use like a SWOT analysis. I've heard people do that to describe their business. And when it comes to the competitive analysis, they use it there too. So that will be up to you. And then the last part that's going to be in the company description is what business structure are you going to take on? Okay, so you have like 5 or 6 different ones. I'm only going to name 1 or 2 just for the purpose of naming them. You can do a sole proprietorship. And that's just you. So for me, I could have just gone with the sole proprietorship and kept it basic, right? No paperwork to file. I'm just going in business for myself. When you go do your taxes, it's just pass through. I just write all my business expenses and revenue down on a separate sheet of paper, my taxes, when I file, right? Or you have what I have, which is an LLC. The reason why I got an LLC because it reduces my liability if I were to have to bankrupt the company or something like that. I'm only responsible for the amount that I initially put in. That's it. And that's the reason why I did LLC. So if I have like creditors or stuff like that, then it would limit my liability if I were to have to bankrupt the company. Of course, we would go to court. They probably would see how much they can get, and then they settle with all of that. If you're in business with multiple people and you want to do a multiple people type deal, you can always do a partnership. They have different types of partnerships. You might want to look into that. So that will be the business type, whatever form of ownership you are taking. You have to check with your state to see what kind of business or what kind of paperwork you need to file for that business. But it's pretty simple. So in the state of Georgia, you file some paperwork through LegalZoom or through Rocket Lawyer. You file the paperwork there. You get your EIN number, your employee identification number, which is free. And then they kind of send you that in the mail. Then you kind of go from there. And I think all in all, it's maybe like $150 to file all the paperwork. And then you're good. You would have to have a registered agent, but you, of course, can be your registered agent. Mistake I made when I first began my business was thinking that I had to pay somebody to be my registered agent. Nope. And so a year or two of business, I am my own registered agent. All right. The next section is probably the duh section, which is going to be your products and or services. So if you're going to do some products, you want to put them in this section. Basically, you want to describe in detail what your products are, what your services are. So if, for example, you sell clothes, the quality, the price, where you're going to buy, source from, stuff like that is going to go in this section. As far as services, what services are you going to provide? How will you be providing that service? Is it something that's digital, or is it something that physical that you actually go to people's houses, or do they buy it from you and you send it to them? That's kind of what you're going to do here. Now, keep in mind, you will have to have pictures. You want to have drawings. All that kind of stuff is going to go in your appendix at the end. So if you want to take pictures of your clothing, take pictures of whatever your service does, then that stuff is going to go at the end of the business plan. Products and services kind of basic. And so it's not like a whole lot you have to do. You know what you're selling. The goal here is to get people to understand what you're selling. So if you know you're selling baby shirts, then baby shirts are what you're selling. You can do the size range. So if you do from like 0 to 2 years or something like that, and then where you're going to source them from. So I'm going to make them myself, or I'm going to get them from other designers, or I'm going to purchase them wholesale and mark them up and sell them retail. That's kind of how that goes. The third part or fourth part is going to be probably the hardest part, one of the hardest parts of the business plan. That is market research. So this is going to be part of your marketing plan, but a big part of that is going to be your market research. So the reason why you want to do your marketing research is because you want to know about your intended audience, right? How do they get what they get as far as buying, or how do you market to them? So for example, if you're trying to reach my target group, 18 to 34, right? Young adults, basically. How do you get to them? Do they listen to the radio? Do they read papers? Are they bloggers, or do they read blogs? Are they Twitter? Are they Instagram? So market research is going to help you with that. It keeps you on track. Make sure you don't waste your time, and make sure you don't waste your money. Because if you're marketing, but you're marketing the wrong way, your target audience doesn't even look that way. So, for example, they may not read anymore. So if they don't read anymore, then you're going to spend a lot of money publishing ads in magazines, basically. So this helps you just realize who they are, right? And how are they impacted by what you're selling, or how they get what you're selling. That's going to be your market research. Very, very important, because if you don't know how to market to them, then you're kind of going to waste your money. I mean, I honestly have to say you're kind of going to waste your money. Know what's effective and know what's not effective. There are thousands of marketing tools out there, but are they all effective? No. Some of them just waste your money. And so you want to make sure you know what is and is not going to work. Now, you will waste money in the beginning because nobody really knows the exact science of how anything works. We don't know the exact science of how they shop. So you're going to waste money initially, but the purpose is not to waste too much money, right? So yeah. So how do you conduct market research, right? You're going to do most of what I did. So I did a lot of secondary research. So looking at industry profiles or newspapers, magazines, demographic profiles. Who are these people, right? This type of information is available in libraries. You can find it online. And you can go to other vendors and ask them about how they do it effectively. That's secondary research. You got primary research, which is really going to the source. So having a forum of women or a forum of your target audience come together and, go to them and see what the most effective is. How do you market? What kind of clothes do you like? When I first began the store, I did this. I did do a little bit of a primary research to see what people liked, what they were buying. And so it's very helpful because then you're not just making decisions based off what you like. You're making decisions based off of what people in your target audience voted on, right? So going to the source, you can do some professional market research if you want to do that. But the goal is, and my thing was doing it all on a small budget because I'm a small business, I'm a mom, and I do a lot of other stuff like work and actually have bills. So it wasn't available for me to go spend a lot of money because I didn't have it. And so, yeah, that's going to be your market research. That's the first part of your marketing plan. All right, the next part in your business plan is kind of going to be your industry research. So this is going to really be like the size of your industry, the market share. This kind of stuff is going to go in your, we'll call it the economics part. I think mine was just in the situation analysis in my business plan. So basically, this is where you calculate what % share of the market you will have. So that's taking the amount of people that are in your target audience, breaking that down into how much % of that you think you'll get, or how many people. So say if your target audience is 2,000 people, and since you're in business for the first year, maybe you'll get 50% of those people. So that's 1,000 people. So your market share of the market would be 50%. Sort of like that. I can definitely put how I did mine. If you would like to see that, let me know, and I can make that a mini tutorial video. It wasn't really hard to do. You can go to get your information from like the census. I think it's like census.gov or something like that. I'll find the link and I'll put it in the description box. But you can find that. And then what I also did was, because mine is a store and it's an online store, so I wanted to see how many people click through and how many people are just there because they've seen the ad and really want to know what this store is about. So I went and did some additional research in that to figure out my share of the market was about 13%. So the people in my target audience, how many I think I'll get in that first year, or how many people will actually buy in that first year, and then kind of broke that down into, the amount of people that click through and actually buy, or the people that walk through and buy, because I do want to have a mobile unit as well. So that was that. Third part, you want to do your demand in the market. So is there a high demand for what you have? So, clothes, you can look at it and say, no, we don't need any more people in the realm of fashion because we have enough. But you want to think about like your specialty stores, like your vintage shops or your thrift stores or your high-end fashion stores. Those might have a need where you are. So you never know. Everybody doesn't shop at Ross, and everybody doesn't shop at, I don't know, name brand places, Chanel. I don't really know. Everybody doesn't shop at those. They might prefer small boutiques. How high of a demand is your small boutique in their industry or in their area? Trends in the market, so your growth trends or your consumer preferences, stuff like that. How do people in that target audience prefer to shop? Are they really online shoppers, or, you know, whatever the case may be? Do they like to shop trendy, or do they like vintage? Stuff like that. And your growth potential. So how is it that you plan to grow in that industry, basically? What barriers to entry do you face? Is it hard to get into? Is it expensive to get into? Is marketing high to get into? Is it hard to train people? Stuff like that. So you want to put all that in your barriers to entry. One thing that I would say is during this time, Google will be your best friend. Google is my best friend anyway. But if you are already familiar with Google, doing a business plan and looking up the parts, kind of one of the most important things you will want to do, because it's going to give you examples of what is in this plan. Stuff like that. So, and then how will you overcome those barriers? So if there are high capital costs or high ways to get in, how are you going to combat that? Are you going to be using your own capital? Are you going to be getting somebody else's? How do you plan to pay that back? Stuff like that. And then how could you, how could, like, changes in fashion trends or changes in the economy, such as recession, how could that impact your company? So we all know if we go through a recession and you own a high-end clothing boutique, you might suffer a lot, because people then are not going to want to spend $100, $200 on an outfit, right? They're going to go over to Ross and pay like $20 for a shirt. Such things like that is what you want to put in here as well. So it's very important to know how you plan to counteract whatever happens in those changes. How will you survive if we hit another recession and you run around here with $200 shirts? You know what I mean? How are you going to be able to get over that? This is also in your marketing plan as well. All right, the next two sections and the final sections for today are going to be your product from your customer's perspective. So in the first portion, when you described your products and services, you kind of explained it from what you think it was. Oh, they have high quality, blah, 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 blah. So in this section, you're going to look at it from your customer's perspective. So how will it benefit your customer? So what are the important features? What's special about it? Are they hand woven, or, you know, is the fabric like some rare blend of fabric that you found? So that kind of stuff is kind of going to be in the product section of your marketing plan. You're going to, in detail, describe the features and the benefits. And you have to know the differences between your features and your benefits. So, features would be something like, it's made of cotton, it has 2 zippers, it has pockets. And then the benefits are, oh, it's going to make you shine in a room. You're going to stand out. It's going to be a one-of-a-kind look. Stuff like that. So you have to know the difference between your features and benefits. They are not the same thing. And I don't know how many of you have seen product descriptions. Some of them have, like, specifications. So it has a 23 bust if it's a small, and a 30 waist or something like that. Those are specifications, so you can place those in there, but those are also different from your features. Now the next section is your customer section. Who the hell are they? How, you know, what age are they in? Where they live? Where they shop? What are they, male or female? Are they both? And so this is kind of where you get into your, so you want to put in here how much they make a year, what education level are they at, and some of this stuff just isn't really important. Like, education really isn't that important to me. She doesn't have to be a high school graduate, or she doesn't have to hold a diploma or anything to shop at the store. But maybe for your intended audience, that's important, because maybe you target students with, I don't know, PhDs in a particular field of study, stuff like that. So you want to make sure that you note all of that because you want your customer to be well defined. All right. So if you're targeting other businesses, what business are they in? Who do they service? What quality of the thing they service? Stuff like that. So you want to make sure that you keep this in for your customer, because if you don't know who you're selling to, how will you know who to market to? That's why it's part of your marketing plan, because you want to make sure that, oh, I know that I'm targeting guys age 18 to 30 who like to dress in graphic tees with jeans and, you know, that type of stuff. It's very, very important that we know who they are so that we know how to reach them. So that is part one of the business plan. The business plan is so extensive. Like I said, I've been working on that for 2 weeks. It seems kind of short to me. So I know people have gone on and done weeks or months because you have to do the market research. I think because I've been in business, or I had the store for so long, I kind of just I already knew who, you know, just from independent stuff, not really because I just don't know, just from independence, how to market to them, how do they get their information. I had known that already, so it just takes me to put it on paper. It's kind of what it is. So I have included some links in the description box to other business plans that you can look at. When this is all said and done, I would definitely love to upload my business plan so that you can get a more personal view of it, because what helps me most is when I can see somebody else's work, and then I can know how that you're gonna pick and take, you know, pick and choose what you're gonna take out of it. And that's kind of the whole point. I will see you guys probably in the next 2 days, since I do plan on posting 2 videos a week now. I hope you have a wonderful start to your week, and I will see you guys later. Hey guys, it's Adriana Deshay. How to reach this woman, right? This is, I'm sorry, the dog. I think he just stole something. Hold on.